Shoshie can enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, why not have it go? Take your time, steady and you can do it right. Shoshie can enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, why not have it go? We paint miniatures. We paint miniatures. We paint miniatures. Turn on tuning, hear what I say. Watch real closely, enjoy your stay. You'll see me painting from up above. And if you like it, give it mad love. Take your time, steady and you can do it right. Shoshie can enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, why not have it go? Take your time, steady and you can do it right. Shoshie can enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, why not have it go? We paint miniatures. 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 We paint miniatures.
Hello, it's Shoshie from Shoshie's Minis, and welcome to my live stream on YouTube. Welcome. I have Moonstone miniatures here in chat with me, and we are going to be painting some of their miniatures and showing off what they look like and how to paint them, as well as talking about their new Kickstarter that they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and flip over here. Here is the link to their new Kickstarter. You can also go to their website, moonstonethegame.com. Here's their quick link to their Kickstarter, and I have with me Susie from Moonstone. Hello. Yes. Can everyone hear her okay this time? Want to make sure.
Yeah, I will say something a little bit more now, and yeah, give us a shout if you can or can't hear us. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'm adjusting the volume just now, so hopefully everyone can hear you okay.
Lovely stuff. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show off some of the last. So this is Gwendoline. We painted her yesterday on our stream, and she came out very lovely. Here's the box art so you can kind of compare. There we go. She's right there. We did a little bit. Yeah.
Such a good job. It's come out so well.
I'm so glad. I'm going to do some more work on her face after the fact, but I also got a chance to work on the back of her wings a little bit more after the stream, and those really pop now. Good. Everyone can hear you okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we may have a smaller audience today. I'm not sure. Usually Saturdays, people are out and about, especially in Europe. They don't seem to stay inside a lot in the summer.
The Euros are on at the moment, football, soccer. So yeah, certainly in Europe there might be a few people who are a little bit distracted by that as well.
All right, so let's take a look. This is Klaus. He is what is he? He's a fawn, right?
Fawn, that's right. Yes, both of them are.
And he swings around this large bell on a stick, almost like a mace,
Yeah.
right? Like not a mace, like a morning star, almost like a morning star without the star.
Yeah, exactly that.
It's a morning bell.
Slightly more noisy than a morning star or a mace.
Yep. And
Yeah,
Butler
flail,
says
that's it. That's
Butler
the
says
word we're trying to think of.
he says beer and footy. Yep. I understand. Here is Raegan. We're gonna paint her first because what I've done with the underpainting, the priming, is going to take away a lot of the work of having to do a lot with her, because if you look at her box art, she's pretty monochromatic. And she's got definitely some shading and stuff, which we'll do, but a lot of the green and things, we're just going to need to tint a little bit, it looks like. And then we'll use this. So here's the setup. I explained this yesterday. I did black first, and then I did a zenithal prime of the Stynylrez green, and you can probably use paint and not another primer. I just like Stynylrez primers a lot because they are very sturdy. And then another coat of white, and the white is primarily focused on her stone, which glows just like it does on the box here. Now I'm going to let Susie talk about this properties of the stone and everything, why that's important for Raegan. And is she holding a snake?
It's like a little twist of power and magic as she's casting.
Okay.
Yeah. So the stone is malachite, so that's where this box gets its name from. So they are the malachite mystics, and she in particular uses it as part of her magic and her ritual weaving. So for those people who didn't see the session yesterday, the 3 miniatures that are in this box are part of a faction called the Leshavult, and they are part of a cult of a god called Leshavit. That's where the name comes from. And she uses malachite as part of all of her kind of ritual and her kind of honouring of the god as well. So that's where it comes from. That's why it's important for her.
Okay. So let's see. I'm going to start with what I did yesterday, which is I'm picking out my colors because that is going to save me time. Now, when I look at box art for my inspiration, I don't just look at the whole picture. I'm looking at actual individual colors, which this looks like a kind of a tannish gray highlight, and then we've got kind of a burgundy brown here, and then as we get closer to the light, it gets more brighter green, but there is some olive, which we kind of have. This isn't as olivey. This is more blue, and this is more yellow, I would say. So we will need to adjust that back. So let's see what I've got. I've got my dark camo green. We can add some. Yeah, that's a nice yellow green. And to make my kind of tannish color, this is some dark golden brown. Hey Matt Bowman, how are you? I'm glad that you could make it. Okay, and now I want kind of this tannish color it's pretty dull. So I don't want this ivory. I want something, well, maybe I do. Here, nope. So I want to show you the difference between these two colors. This is olive flesh, So it does have a little bit of green in it.
Mhm.
Maybe. Maybe I can get it open. Okay. There, and then I'm going to show you the difference between the ivory. It's a very different intensity. Look at that. See the difference in intensity?
Mm.
The ivory is a lot more, it doesn't pop off my finger like the ivory does. So I'm going to use the olive flesh as my mixing color. Put that over here. Okay, let's see what happens when we go into that. Oh, Mike brought me a pop. Thank you so much. What a great husband. Mm. And it's the fountain soda too. Oh, by the way, I have to show you this. So if you're not living in America, this is a like a regular size. Look at the size of this. This is yeah. This is I don't even know what. I think it's like 62 ounces, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
yeah.
sorry, I lied. It's an extra large, but it's
Oh,
still
okay.
this is American size pop.
Yeah, I mean it's the little bit on the end. I mean, I think in the UK we might get something if you took that little bit on the bottom off, that might come close to our extra larges. But yeah, that's incredible.
This is so it fits in your cup holder because that is the normal size, right?
Yeah.
So
wow.
funny.
Yeah. It's been really warm here, actually. It suddenly decided to turn into summer today, so yeah, I don't blame you for having a drink.
It's been warm here too. I mean, we have air conditioning, so it's not too bad, but you still get dehydrated if you go outside because you're sweating. All right, I'm mixing my ivory over here. I'm going to do just a touch of this brown, and look at that. Boom, wow. That might actually be my color. And I can add just a little bit more ivory over on the side if I need to lighten that up any. A little bit more on this side here. Okay, and then even maybe a little bit of green over here. No. See what it did to that green? It really made it pasty, and it really, they're really, let me see what happens if I do this. Okay, that's better. Just bring some of that pigment back in. Yeah, that's much better. That's probably close to her base color, actually. All right, so let's see what happens. All right, I'm going to grab her. And actually, we need to go and do all her shadows first, because look at those dark, dark shadows. And if we don't establish those, it's going to be very hard to come back. Because we can always paint over the shadows, but we won't be able to, if we highlight first, we won't be able to go back and shade without messing up our highlights. So I always paint from the inside out. So the darkest things, or the things on the inside, like here, I'm going to use a little bit more water. There we go. I'm just going to kind of see if I can push those colors in there. That already looks nice. Got a little bit in her ear. And I don't have to be super detailed with this, because like I said, we're going to come back and smooth things out and highlight things better later. Okay, I'm going to go ahead on her leg over here, go dark. But where I have this highlighted bit on her fur, I'm going to leave it alone mostly until we do get to the coloring of it. Alright, so far. I'm going to flip her upside down. You know, and I completely forgot to put her in a holder, that's why. So if you have a holder, it makes a big difference in you being able to rotate the mini around. Alright, I'm going to take my glasses off. If you see anybody say anything in chat or have any questions, free to
Oh,
let me know.
I will do. So yeah, please, by all means, ask any questions in chat either for either of us. If you want to hear more about the game, I can chat whilst she's doing some of the block colouring and things.
Okay, do you
But
see how I'm coming in here with that brown, and I leave some of that green there, and I'm just going to wiggle my brush to blend it so it doesn't have a sharp line.
Okay, yep, I see.
Anywhere I have a... And under her chin, she definitely has some darker part.
Do you find when you're painting and you are using box art, do you think there's any difference or a lot of difference between what you do with a colour palette and how you choose to colour an actual physical miniature in 3D versus maybe what is on the box art and how it's been created by an illustrator instead?
Well, the tricky part is trying to paint the back.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you have 3D,
Yeah.
three-dimensional artwork to look at, because then you have to make it up. So
A request for your mic to be a bit closer.
Oh, there we go. I moved it. Is that better?
There we go. That is for me, so hopefully it's for everyone else as well.
Good. Yeah, I noticed it did go pulled away. Sometimes it does that. All right.
But yes, of course, the back, yes.
All right. See how I'm wiggling the brush again to smooth, and it just makes a nice kind of little gradiated thing instead of a crisp line. And then it's so much easier to blend over after that. I can come in here and do the same thing. Okay. That is already looking like a big contrast. I like it. And then back here under her bum, just a little bit. Okay. So once I get these shadows all in here, then we do some quick highlighting, and she will really paint up very fast because, again, she's not very colorful. And we need to let that dry. Okay, one more thing. I'm just going to take a little bit of this color over here. There we go. Okay. Now, for the green, I do need to add, I forgot to add now, to keep her kind of, now, this green is very different than Gwendoline's lime green. It's actually, it might actually be closer to this and a little bit of this, actually. So I'm going to put those two on the palette. Let's see what happens when I mix them. I don't know how they're going to interact with each other, so I always kind of want to see. Plus, I need to shake this one real good. But I don't paint the back. Yes, I do. I do paint the back. I don't always paint it on stream, but you can see here. And I had to make all that up, you know, based on what I did on the front. So, see, yep. All right, I'm going to give this a really good shake. Hang on one second. Okay, try it again. Sometimes if you just take the top off, you can get out more paint than if you try to squeeze it through the little thingamabob.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this paint might be a little old. Whoa.
there anything you can do about old paint, or does it get to a point where it goes just too far?
This one might be dead. That is pretty. Oh, no, no, no. Nope, that one is dead.
Oh no.
You know, it's so rare that I throw away a bottle of paint because they really do. If you take care of them, they will last forever, but some paints don't. Let me see if I have a Citadel paint because they've got a nice couple greens that might work. Oh, wait, here's a good one. This one's a Reaper. Look at that one. It's not as bright. Let's see what happens with it. Oh, again, the same. All of the medium separates out and goes to the top.
Yeah. Oh, and hello, Arla. She's just left a comment saying, evening, I need to buy that troop box. The minis are amazing. I must admit, these are among my favourites of the Moonstone range. I think they're just so dynamic and so much fun as well with Klaus and his bell. And Raegan is just so much fun.
There we go. That's the color. Look at that.
Yeah, that's good. And much better as well than the
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
Arla, can I tell them what country you're in? I want to make sure it's okay.
Okay.
Most of my viewers at this time are in the UK, or in the British Isles. I don't know what's proper to say because some people get mad when you say like.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context. Saying where someone lives, for us, we're fine with each individual country or the UK or yeah, it's accents all being called British accents that can make some of us kind of eye twitch because there's so many different accents floating about that are so different.
Okay, I think I'm going to start with the stone because that's our light source, and I'm just going to glaze this over this white and just hope that it doesn't get streaky too badly on me. And I might need to do 2 thin coats instead of 1 thick coat because you'll get a better.
Have you used any of the Citadel Gem paints at all?
I haven't. Have you tried them?
I have. Strangely, I've used it for fantasy armor.
Okay.
So to give a slightly more unusual, in fact it was for a Moonstone Goblin, I gave him blue armour. It's quite an interesting effect in that way, but yeah, it's got some interesting uses, I think. I'm trying to figure out other ways to use it other than just for gemstones.
Yeah, is it a contrast paint, do you think, or is it something completely different?
I think it's something completely different. It's like a thick glaze. It's
Okay.
it's kind of glaze in effect, but kind of is a bit more translucent. So you paint the like a metal silver underneath, and then you put the gemstone stuff over the top, and then so you get that shimmer effect underneath the color. So it's quite fun to use. It's mostly why I picked it up. I was like, I'm just going to try and find something to use this on, and yeah, armor worked quite well.
Oh, good.
Oh, and Arla says yes, you can.
Oh, so she's in Scotland. So
cool.
So she and her partner play a bunch of different games, and that's pretty cool that she plays. She had already known of Moonstone before I started streaming, so.
Excellent stuff. Well, for Arlo and anybody else watching this, you are more than welcome to join our Facebook community and our Discord as well. If you're finding it tricky finding local players, we've found we've got people joining us from Poland and other parts
Oh.
of Europe now, and so there's really little pockets springing up. But we have a weekly tabletop simulator demonstration game that's run by some of the guys in the Discord group. So if you have Steam and you have Tabletop Simulator, it's quite a nice way of seeing a demo game or just getting some practice in without having to find local players. And
That's
over the
nice.
last year in particular, that's been rather handy with not being able to meet up with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun and a really nice way to start out.
So you can see what. Oh no! Oh, good. She did not fall into the paint. She fell onto the palette, but not into the paint. I'm gonna move this a little bit. So what I'm doing back on the back of this is just some wet blending. So the paint is wet on wet,
Okay.
and this particular paint has a pretty nice. It's what it's called an open time, and so does Citadel. That just really lets you blend it onto the mini.
Okay.
And I'm just using my brush and doing little feathering strokes. So we're just leaving a little bit of paint at a time, but it's giving me that real smooth color blend. And then I'm going to go a little bit lighter up here.
And is it the paint itself that needs to be wet rather than you keep loading it with water?
Correct.
Yeah, that effect.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't usually want to add a lot of water because a lot of paints split.
And a couple of new people. We've got Sander, VB, and Fatty Wants a Cookie. Excellent name. Hello.
Sandra VB, hello. And hello, Fatty Wants a Cookie. I love it.
Looking so good already.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's a nice fast technique as well. I like that as also. And like I said before, we can really let some of that primer do the heavy lifting for us. And all of these colors are this. So this is a this isn't monochromatic. It'd be like duochromatic because you've got red and green, but you so it's pretty much one half. Sorry, wait. Complementary. That's what I wanted to say. Complementary color scheme is when you use the opposites on the color wheel, and so this red and this green are pretty close to opposite, and they almost always look nice together. And then we just have these other greens, which are always... Green is one of the most forgiving colors on the color wheel. And so, usually, if you need some color to help you blend, try adding a green and then blending it from that. Because it's just a forgiving color. Your eye is able to see green differently than some other colors. I wish I knew the... Look at that. That's really nice. Okay.
And we've got Freak has a joined us. Hello.
Yeah, Freak.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. And Arlo. Okay, so the Arlo's on our Facebook page, but not the Discord. I will share a link for you shortly in the chat. Oh, great that you both play though, and you have a local store that's fantastic as well that stocks the minis. That's brilliant.
Good.
That's always very helpful, but also not when it comes to the wallet. So yeah.
Okay. Now, we're going to try to mimic some of this green stone. It did get a little streaky on me, and I'm actually debating on changing this little antler. It's like a little stag in here, and actually going white with that instead, because I think... Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This is a trick I learned from when I used to play War Machine, is get your dark green here and go around the inside so that the darkest part is on the walls of this little part right here. Okay. Then we need to let that dry, and I need some white somewhere.
I'll just pop the Discord link into the chat while you're.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, then give it to me, and I will pop it in chat for you. Send it to me on Discord.
Yeah.
Did it?
No worries.
Yeah, let me have that.
Yeah, we'll see if that works. But yes, I will share that with you.
Okay,
so
good.
that we can get it out.
Good. I'm just reading chat real quick, catching up on everything. Good. They have a great game store. That's awesome. I haven't been to a game store in I don't know how long.
Okay.
Did you send it to me in Discord yet? Okay.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah. All right, I've got my small brush here, and I'm going to put this white because it's going to be my glow, but you have to put the white first or it won't look like it's going to glow.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to grab that, copy. This is my most angry metal song for my stream that I have. There we go. Did that go through? Yep. Okay, you guys can click on that. And then also, how are the singles packaged is what Bachelor wants to know.
Okay. There are only, well, we're doing more singles at the moment because we are offering people the opportunity to do an all-in for an entire race or faction. So if you want, for example, all of the fairies, in this box there's one fairy and then there are 2 fawns. So we're kind of splitting things up to give people the option to just back a complete race of people if they want to. So I believe that the individuals come in a little baggie. So it's the resin miniature with their card and base. And then depending on what else you buy, I think they get added into just a plain wooden box. That would be very extravagant. It's a plain cardboard box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on how many you get. So we're trying to keep the packaging down as much as we can, whilst also keeping things together so it's easy for people to work out what they're supposed to be using with what.
Right. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going over all the little planes on the stone here. Don't know quite yet if I'm going to keep them. But this is one technique that I learned from Kaha Minis. And she's fantastic at really making it. See, it was already looking pretty kind of cool. Let's see. When I glaze it, we got a new subscriber, Lockrin. Thank you so much. There's a lot of little minute planes. It takes a little time, but when you get it all drawn on, it can look really neat. And then we're going to glaze over that, and you'll see what's going to happen.
That is a big lump of stone that she's using as part of her magic there.
And is this like a relic or something? Can it be stolen from her in the game at all, or is it related to a moonstone, or is it completely different?
It is completely different. I do believe that she has an ability that's based around it. It kind of came about from the fluff, actually. So the story that I was talking to Tom about for her kind of guided her abilities, and also Klaus as well. So I kind of looked at them and I was like, they're so unusual, but there's obviously something that's linking these two together. And so the story that I've written, they're actually very close. They were childhood friends and they've grown up together in this cult, and so they're very very close. And so they kind of protect each other, and they have a lot of synergy in game off the back of that. And it's
Oh yeah, I
one of
bet.
the first times that the story has influenced the gameplay quite as much as that, and it's been quite a lot of fun for both me and Tom to kind of explore that and see how it can work. So we're hoping to try and do a little bit more of that in future potentially. It's quite a nice way to just bring the game to life and to tie everything together.
So you can see how it already looks kind of crystalline now
Mm,
because of I did the white outline and then I did a glaze of the green over everything, and it kind of it sets in that sort of facet look, and it also helps it give it a kind of a gemstone look. But before I finish that, I'm going to see if I have some fluorescent green because I think that will really make things glow. I have to look at my wall of paint. Here we go. This is fluorescent green. This is really green. This is Floral Green by Game Color. Let's try it.
mm.
Yeah, that's probably the brightest green. Let's use the small brush, and we've already got that white inside there, and we can kind of just put that fluoro in there on top of that white, and that white will shine through. See how that looks? And that's how I get that kind of magical glow quality. And I'm going to put a few pieces on here, on some of these little facets.
Mm.
And actually, I need a transparent green. So what's nice about these transparent paints, they dry matte. They're like pure pigment and they're gorgeous. Just at the base of the stone. I'm gonna see if I can. Yeah, that's what I want. Very carefully, I'm kind of shading each plane.
Oh, I have a question for you. Would using ink work if you don't have fluoro colors?
Yeah.
Fluorescent, I'm assuming that. Oh.
It's gonna be, I would say it's gonna be different. If you don't have the transparent colors, ink will work. But I would say fluorescent, you're not gonna be able to duplicate without fluorescent. It's just, look at that beautiful facet right there.
That's really shining.
Yes, there's something about fluorescent paints, the intensity of it. You don't find those in anything but fluorescent. Let's see if I can just on the edge of this. To get my deep shadows, because the darker the shadows are, the brighter that glow is going to be. Now we're going to take this white again, and we're going to edge all of our little edges again. So wherever like
really...
when the lines meet, that's where I'm kind of making it whiter, so that it has kind of like that crispness. So you.
It does look really crystalline.
I don't think it's a easy technique. I think it might be easier to do a very faint dry brush, but it's still, because this particular stone is not really defined, but if you can manage to paint those little facets, it'll start looking like a gem. Just more on this here. Yeah, I like that. Now, this is the part to make it look like it's glowing. We need some of this fluoro. Actually, we need the white first, probably. Just on the edge of this. It's actually better to try to be subtle with it. Now with some of this fluoro, I need that to dry out a little bit.
And because of its proximity to a cloak, that would be kind of that bright green being reflected off of the gem, is that right?
Right.
Yep.
Because it's a light source, and we're just imagining that the area around her is not lit up.
Yeah.
Oh, this part is actually dark. Why is it dark? Well, that's her little fur that's on. I need this green. Take a look at chat real quick. Yeah, so when you ask about fluoro colors, they just are not gonna, so they're just not gonna have the same properties. But you could, how could you do it? You could put a lot of white, like I did with this, and I use the inks, you know, to give, it doesn't give it a glow, but you can make it have the, that sort of crystalline look to it, at least. Alright, now I'm gonna go over here with this base. I'm thinking about how that light is affecting that fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And I am pushing it a little bit because it'll be more interesting, otherwise could be kind of boring for her. Let's see. That's that green over her hooves. And as we get closer to the tips of her feet where that light is going, I can add just a smidge of that. It's more faint because the farther away you get from the light source, the dimmer it is.
Mm. So obviously you're going to show how to do the OSL stuff.
That's
for
what
someone. Yeah, for someone who is approaching it for the first time, what would you say is the easiest mistake to make that people should keep in mind when they're starting to approach doing OSL for the same time for the first time? Sorry.
So you really want to make sure that if you're going to do OSL, other parts of the mini need to be really dark, because it's not going to look as impressive if you have like even on the box art, we're looking at dark shadows. Look at Raegan's shadows compared to Gwendoline's. If you just squint, you can see the value contrast, right?
Yeah.
And so just here, look at that. squint at that and you can already see how that's looking like a glow. Okay, a question? Sometimes on a 3D mini it looks better, brighter in the artwork to make it stand out. I agree. Yeah, and so that's I like to start out less bright and then bring it up because it's easier to brighten it than it is to darken it. Because once it's dark, it's going to be really hard to brighten.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I suppose making sure you do keep an eye on the source of the light as well, and understand how it would play, as you said, how it would work on the cloak and materials.
The other thing is that if you have a warm light on, like if you, let's say you're painting different colors, right? So let's say a warm light on a black cloak is going to look completely different. It's actually going to have, it's going to turn that black highlight into a brown one. But if it's a cold light, it might be the color of the light. It might be more of a like a purple light or something. I need a little bit of that fluoro just down here because this is right by the stone. Let's do that and that. And that little edge. I'm gonna blur that. Paint the back a little bit because that is the one that I will be less likely to paint, so I want to make sure that's interesting. And here's a nice little plane, right? I can come over here and stylize that a little bit. The sculpting style is very, I mean, he uses a lot of planes, which I like because it's a very, I think, nope, the sculptor has his own style separate from the artist, actually. So I was going to see if there's not a lot of planes, everything is a lot of soft lines on the artwork. And then here we have more
a request for it.
Yeah. What was it?
For to interrupt, a mic check for you.
There we go. Is that better? Test.
Yeah, that sounds better to me, so hopefully it's better for everyone else as well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you're right. The style is quite different between the two.
Alright, that already is looking really nice. I can kind of give these some little green fluoro highlights as well because they're going to maybe catch a little bit of that light on the side. What's nice about this color palette is everything's blending together really nice because there's really only two colors in it. Let's do a little bit more burgundy into that tan. There we go. Okay. Now, this is black. I think I'm going to mix the red and the green together to make a dark color. There we go.
Agree. Another comment just come through. I like the different in style. It gives more scope for individual expression.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd agree. No, I must admit I'm quite terrible at sticking with box art. I stick to things like goblins. I in Moonstone can be different coloured skins, so they're not all green, for example. So I make those a little bit different. But I can sometimes just look at this and think I'm not going to give her a brown and green cloak. I'm going to go for dark blue or something like that. And I think that's quite nice to be able to just see those inspirations in the artwork that people have created.
Yeah. And you can kind of improvise from that even.
Mm.
So she's got, now in the artwork, it's all brown, so I'm going to go back to that. She's got kind of like a little armor of jewelry down here. It's very subtle, but I'm going to embellish on it a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, let me look at it again. Yep, she's got more burgundy on her sides. There we go. I probably should have gone straight with this burgundy and then done that highlight over the fact. So I'm going to go back and color her fur again with this burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
This music is by, oh my gosh, Will Said Smith. He's actually a British Indian composer, producer that I found. And he is just, if you're in London, I think he does like live shows and stuff. So like during the pandemic, I hired him to make all this amazing music, and he said I just told him, I'm like, just do whatever you want, pretty much, you know, within certain categories. And he came up with some of this kind of like almost like Bollywood metal, and I love it.
Wow. It is very cool.
It just goes to show you, when you let artists kind of do their thing, they can really surprise you and make you happy. Oh, you know what? So, okay, remember how I told you how right here, this has just a smidge of like almost like a, I want to call it a dead purple. Let's see if I can add just a smidge of purple to my color and see what happens. It's gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna mix this color here and then add some of that. Yep, there it is.
Okay.
It's a little bit more desaturated, so I'm gonna add some of this. There we go. It's like a taupe. And it's a nice little, oh yeah. So because skin, also sometimes you need a little bit of that red tone to make it feel alive, but that also pulls those colors together a lot. I like that.
And it works very well with the green as well, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my green over here. Yeah, and when that dries, I'm gonna go back in and hit that highlight again with that green so that we can pop that light back up.
Hmm.
Now, before we get too far, I'm going to paint this base black because you're going to really see that pop when we get the contrast. So you always have to have some dark color in there.
Hmm.
Doesn't this just make you feel like you want to go on a trip to India? I
Yeah.
I love it. Maybe not now. It's not so good right now, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Man, the world has changed so much, but hopefully we'll learn some things and
Yeah.
figure out how to take care of each other.
Contrast has made
Look
a
at
big
how,
difference.
yeah, right?
Mm.
That's why I wanted to get this to really show you, because it's hard to see unless you, and it changes how you paint it too, because look at that. Pam.
Mm.
She really does feel like she's kind of like summoning the power from the stone.
Mm.
Let's do a little bit of that on her little magic coil. And then we'll have a little OSL coming from that as well.
Oh, lovely. That's popping so much.
Mm-hmm. So you said there are humans in Moonstone?
There are, yes. Yeah, there's a. They tend to play for the Commonwealth faction, but there are also some in the Lesher Vault. So there are some humans in the cult that Raegan and Klaus and Gwendoline are members of as well.
Okay.
A variety. I mean, some of the early and popular ones. There's a character called Baron von Fancy Hat, who changed his name to that because he particularly likes hats.
Yeah.
And so likes having very fancy hats, and so he wanted to change his name. And then he has a squire called Eric, who's like this
I like
ginger kind of teenage boy who has
Yes.
a wooden sword and is very enthusiastic, and yeah,
Oh my gosh.
so much character in them all.
So I'm looking for my schmanky white. It's a very, very bright white acrylic. Here it is. And actually I'm saying it wrong, I think. Frick, if you're here, it's schmenka, right? Schminka. Schminka, I think. I could be wrong. Anyway, if you buy a tube of this, it will last you forever. And look at that, is just super bright compared to this other. It's because it's really pigmented. And it is titanium, Titan Vice. So don't eat it. Don't lick your brush. I'm going to try really hard not to. Just taking this. I'm going to go back over some of the little spots, and you'll really be able to see how that pops compared to the other white that I had on here.
And you pronounced it correctly. So
I did.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
I taught myself German with the help of a language partner from Berlin, an 80-year-old German retired history professor.
Wow.
And I also had a book from the 1990s, a U.S. German textbook that was so old that it had people on the Berlin Wall. Like,
oh wow.
And it was really funny because it still had things like Deutschmark and and Fräulein. Nobody says Fräulein anymore, hardly at all. 'cause it's not polite. Although my friend Lutz, he would always brag to me. He said that he knew some older ladies that really held on to their Fräulein title because it made them feel young.
Oh.
Okay, I really like that. And I'm just gonna add just a smidge of white here, almost as if that's so bright that it's kind of. Let's see what happens when I mix. Yeah, I like that. Benjamin says, being able to catch your stream between visiting graduation parties and other family getting together is a dream. Aw, you help more than you know when it comes to those that watch. Oh, that's so awesome. That makes me feel great. Yay.
It's true though. It's very mesmerizing. So yeah, I know I should kind of be talking to you and talk about Moonstone, but it is also just very relaxing.
Well, and yeah, that's people are like always used to compare me to Bob Ross.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm just kind of chill and easy to listen to.
Yeah, the odd occasional happy tree as well. I'm assuming it pops up every so often.
My thing is just that if I can inspire others to, give it a go and try to do something they didn't think they could do, either way, even if they aren't able to, they've still made more art than if they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important, is that people are making more art.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that way about writing as well. For me, I mean, everyone has to start somewhere, and I'm still very new to the world of writing for games like Moonstone and writing other things as well. So I'm doing personal writing and writing a novel and other stories, and you just have to start, and you just have to just persevere and know that occasionally you're going to create something that maybe isn't great because you're practicing, and being okay with that as well, and making mistakes, but then knowing how or learning how to fix it's also part of the learning curve, isn't it? So as you say, if you inspire someone to give it a go and it doesn't look quite exactly how you've done it, then practicing more and eventually getting there is just an amazing achievement and just process to go through and get to that point.
Yes. Find that a little bit there, that little cuff. I want to be careful with this because I don't want to overpaint it too much. She doesn't have a ton of colors, and I'm worried that if I overpaint it a little too much, she might lose some of the detail that I already have.
Oh, and Arla has said that she has learnt a lot from you.
Aw, that's great. I've learned a lot from Arla. Actually, I learned a lot from all of my followers because we post, and so I have a Discord for my patrons, and we post kind of our work, and even though I may not always say something about stuff, I look at it and I learn things from people as well just by seeing what they're doing.
The nice thing about this hobby, I think, it's all about sharing and showing off your work and learning from each other, and
right.
Yeah, just taking that inspiration and finding new things as well, all the different miniatures and ranges that are out there. Oh, and Benjamin has said sometimes all one needs is that other to help them with that little something. I think you're right, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So I just really started using TikTok for the first time. And what I like about it is that a lot of the people who are on it are younger, and maybe not as so like Facebook, Instagram, people have been in the hobby for years, right?
Mm.
And maybe not so much with the people on TikTok. So I get to show them things that I've already shown, like my audience over here, over and over again. But it's this new audience has never seen, and they're just like, whoa. I like the back right now a lot. She's a
The back is important too.
It is, and not only that, but I struggle, so the fact that I'm liking the back means it's going to be good. Okay, now we need to make the top of her hat a little bit. I don't know if this is going to work on the model yet. We'll see. Might have to tint it. There we go. That's better.
Frank's just left a nice comment saying, you're always my motivational coach, even though I had a tough day, but when I see you working, hanging out, I instantly feel like hobbying.
Oh, that's amazing. Yay.
That's
good.
And Arla's just asked, how did you get into writing for games? Is it an area you're always interested in doing? Yeah, so it's a strange story, I suppose, in a way, how I got into it. I have always liked writing, so even when I was really, really small, I would come up with little stories, and I've got little notebooks from when I was really young, just coming up with stories and drawing pictures and things, and I just loved books and writing for years, and kind of always did it as a hobby. So I was a fan fictionist when I was a teenager and angsty, and writing about my favourite shows and characters, and then carried it on and understood that what an art form that actually can be in its own right as well. So kind of carried on appreciating that work. And then I was listening to the Moonstone podcast one day a couple of years ago, and I'd just been reading the first book and the stories, and I read about a character called Brunhilde that we talked about yesterday, who's the kind of Valkyrie looking lady giant. Right. And I just thought to myself, the way that she was described in the book, she was very attractive, had a very nice behind. So all of the male characters kind of kept staring at her. And I was just like, there's just something fun that can happen with this, and I'll share in a minute the podcast, the most recent podcast for Moonstone. I've read out the story that I came up with for Brunhilde at the end of it, and it was that I got in touch with the Goblin King Games Moonstone guys and said, this is my kind of headcanon for this character, what do you think? And the narrative lead at the time, who unfortunately had to step away over the last year or so, which is how I've taken over, he said, that's brilliant, I love that idea, that's now what happens.
That's great.
And something made me say, I don't know why, I'm not particularly forthright, I don't always put myself out there, but I just said to him, I fancy myself as a bit of a writer, so if you ever need a hand, then I'd volunteer. And he bit my hand off. He asked me to send some stuff through, and he said, I really like this. I was like, well, none of it's been edited, it's all just raw writing. And he's like, oh no, I really love it. And then I started to write a few bits after that, and now it's got to the point where I'm the narrative lead and helping to actually develop the stories and the backgrounds.
You said bit your hand off, and I thought that was like bite your head off. And I thought like he had a bad reaction to you saying that, and I was like, no.
No. He was really enthusiastic. So like when you feed a dog a treat and it just goes to your hand as well as the taking the treat. It was that kind of thing. And it's just kind of, as I say, expanded from there. So for me, I mean, I'm kind of surprised in a way that it's got to this point and people are reading my writing and really enjoying it. So whether it be writing or miniature painting, just put yourself out there and just give it a go. If you've been thinking, you know what, I could start up a TikTok channel, or I could post on, just do it and share your stuff.
Yes. When I first started painting minis, that's exactly what I did. I didn't I wasn't particularly very good. In fact, I started my Facebook page was called Shoshie's Magnificent Minis, and it was meant to be like me having a go at myself, right? Like taking a little bit of the piss. But
Yeah.
it's, over time now, okay,
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely is true.
But it's just funny. It's like, yeah, I'll see people they'll make their social media like newbie painter, and I'm like, well, that's not going to last long if they keep at it, right? Like, that's what you want.
Something I've learned as well over the last couple of years. I've got an amazing friend called Katie, and she has been my editor. So not only with Moonstone, but also the stuff that I've been writing personally. And I mean, we're really good friends. We talk for hours about all sorts of random things, but we also talk for hours about writing and looking at our writing, both mine and hers, and looking and kind of deconstructing things. And one of the things that's hardest to do is to take criticism.
Yes.
And to appreciate that maybe something you thought was brilliant maybe isn't quite right, and there are a few things wrong with it. And at first it's really uncomfortable and like you want to push against it, but actually taking constructive criticism and having someone explain to you why something hasn't quite worked is really invaluable. And if you can find someone that will do that, so sharing in, as say, in Discord and having someone critique it, they're not critiquing it out of any sort of malice. It is just that take that and see what you can do with it and develop it. And that's been something I've learned as well over the last couple of years. That's been so important.
Well, and here's the thing people don't get sometimes is there really is an art to a proper critique as well. So it's another skill. And so sometimes people on the internet, they show their work off, and then somebody who isn't skilled at critique gets in there and gives unsolicited advice. Then it can actually hurt an artist. So I did a lot of teaching, and even though I get criticized for it, sometimes I don't give hard critiques to newbies because I want them to want to do more, right? And I feel like that's better than pushing them so hard at the beginning and giving them a complex.
Yes, that's very true.
But you see that because especially, let's just be honest, this industry is male dominated, and men who are gaming already love competition because the game is a kind of competition, right? And so then painting becomes in competition. But the problem is everyone has this little inner artist within us, and the inner artist is not really a competitor. The inner artist is a child that just wants to color and play. And if you hurt that child, it's not going to want to work hard on that. I'm using a little transparent brown right now. The competitor is usually your inner critic, which those two will fight. Well, actually what will happen is the inner critic will come out and destroy the inner child.
Yeah, definitely.
And that goes for writing and everything too.
It does, yeah. I mean, my friend Katie, who's been my editor, her surname is Stork, as in the bird, and she refers to having different levels of stalk. So when someone is new to whatever it is they're doing, especially with the writing side of things, she will have a slightly softer way that she approaches the critique. But sometimes she just says, now I know what you can do, or if she's had a few too many ciders and she just wants to get through something, she's like, no, I'm going full stalk. And I think that's so true. You need someone who has, or whenever you approach anything, you need to think, right, what level of stalk am I going today, and am I going to go full stalk on myself, or am I actually going to take it a little bit softer?
Right. All right, look at how that's the transparency again. I just love what they do.
She is looking stunning again.
She's getting real close to being done. I'm going to do some little more drops of color right here. Just really kind of pulling out. I'd really love to see what this. I always like to see what the sculptor and the other artists, you know, the box artists, think of what I've done with to interpret their art. It's always fun.
See whether we can get a comment for you. I'm sure we
Yeah.
can. But no, they've said, especially the illustrator, we work with him quite a lot, Shane, and he does like to see some of this stuff when it's been finished, and to see how people have interpreted his work.
That's pretty. I like that. Okay, so we need to go. I'm going to add a little bit of this green in here. There we go. So that's creeping up a little bit. Boom. That did it. And a little bit. This is where I kind of take it and I Shoshify it, because I need to add a few colors here and there so it's not completely blah. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to finish her eyes. That's why. She's got some pretty cool eyes. Now, let's see what it looks like with this. In the box art, it's just kind of a taupe color, but I think that will work actually.
Yeah, the full ones have slightly larger eyes than the other ones, which is both a good and bad thing, depending on how you like painting eyes. That's looking good.
Yeah, that eye came out good. Let's do that again. Avoid painting white on eyes because they can look like scared. Oh yeah, that's neat. I'm gonna just do a tiny bit. I'm gonna kill that white a little bit. Yeah. Now, what I will do is, once I'm off stream, I'll be able to kind of put glasses on and kind of tweak things a little bit more. But that's pretty nice. Good. Good, good, good. Let's do a little bit more back here. Let's put her up next to Gwendoline. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. They will fight together.
They're such a lovely compliment.
Mm-hmm.
The two, you can really see the two personalities in the sculpts and the way you've painted them as well. The complete different. Although the palette is so similar, there is that real difference in the way that they act and behave and painted and presented. Yeah.
Benjamin says not to be like the Hulk and smash the brush into the model as I paint. Oh, you need to not be the Hulk. You show great technique, and I will continue to try to remember to paint less in the brush and no smashing. Yeah, I mean it is its own way of painting, so you just need to maybe see if a lighter touch does something for you. So I just broke off part of this. What did I do? Oh no, good, it's fine. Oh yeah, I did break off a little. I'm just gonna super glue that real quick. These corks are about 3-4 years old and they kind of deteriorate over time, so I might have to write and order some more.
They dry out a little bit, don't they, and then just start disintegrating.
Yeah. There we go.
I like the idea of the cork approach, though. I've not seen a holder that's quite like that before, I don't think.
Right. It is. It's really nice. Alright, rather than risk gluing Klaus to that, I'm going to grab a different one. because they did send, so they had a Kickstarter, this was ages ago, and that's where I got this, and I got like the whole studio package because I knew I really liked what I saw, and so I got all these extra corks and stuff too. All right, Klaus, he's so cute. Okay, let's look at Klaus's colors. He's very similar. He's pretty much the same palette minus the bright green, but adding a yellow, and then he has a little flower in his hair. Oh my gosh,
He does,
I
yeah.
love it. He's so cute. He's got bushy eyebrows. All right, I'm gonna paint his skin first. Let's do that. All right,
He's a
glasses.
different type of fawn than Raegan. Because of the cow face. The kind of different tribes of fawns that are in the world, but yeah, they grew up together in the cult itself, which was just a mix of different fawn people from different tribes. So they've grown up together.
So tell me about the fawns. Are they a race, or are they a clan? What are they exactly?
They are a race in the sense of the game, and they are there are several tribes of them. So there are the different kind of types of fawns, so like the cow-faced ones, and then there's Raegan, which is a little more deer-esque. So there are like male versions of some of the more deer-esque fawns of big horns, for example, so big stag antlers, sorry. And so they live in kind of slightly nomadic tribes, and they've got a couple of sites that they move around within the woodlands that they live in. They're very private race, and they've been around and doing very similar things for a very long time. And so they're quite traditional in the way that they behave. So all of their they live in wooden houses, for example, and they're quite simple with the way that they live. But there are two factions of fawns that have kind of split in the past. So that's where the Leschevolt fawns come from. So they split off to worship Leschevitz in a very particular way, which is a lot around the very brutal natural order of things when it comes to nature, so entropy and the chaos that comes with nature, whereas the other faction of fawns are a little bit more balanced. So they can kind of see the brutal elements of nature, but also kind of the softer side. And the Leschevolt are the more, as I say, entropic, very raw nature element. And so they don't quite see eye to eye when it comes to that kind of religious belief system. And so they are very separate now. And so the Leschevolt and the Leschevit worshippers have a particular commune that they all live in and worship in together, and the other fawns tend to stay away.
That's so interesting. So I'm painting a little bit more on the green side of him, because again, it does bridge, and then I can come back and highlight with his kind of taupe color, which is kind of his base. He's also not a ton. Again, I don't want to overpaint him either. This leg is a little bit darker, so.
Do you think that overpainting is something that people get wrong quite often?
Well, okay, so there's not a wrong per se. It's just that because of the way I primed him, and it's so delicate that if I put too much color on it, I'm basically starting over and losing all of these light sources and stuff that I've got, which makes more work for myself. So if I just glaze, and do like stuff. I can look at how much we've gotten in just a really short time. Right? That's just because I have let the primer do a lot of my heavy lifting as far as here's where light sources are, and if you paint thin enough, then you know you don't need to worry about as much highlighting and shading.
I see, yeah.
Because it's already there.
Ooh, I had a quick question come through.
Yeah.
Do I think that Moonstone is playable for a young teenager? My nephew is interested in my minis, but he never played a skirmish game before, but he does like RPG games. I'd say definitely. I know that there are players who have children who game with them and play Moonstone. I don't think they necessarily read all of the stories to them. Some of them are a little bit more PG, but some of them have also said that they treat it like a fairy tale storybook at bedtime. So there's a balance there as well. The miniatures, Gwendoline is a little bit of exception to the rule. So she's one of the sexier female characters, for want of a better way of putting it. Whereas most of the other female characters are actually a bit more normal, demure, and not quite as sexualized. So actually for that side of things, that kind of nice balance is a good game to go for that. And then the gameplay is quite simple. So there's a bespoke set of cards for both melee and for the arcane abilities. The melee, you have a variety of cards that have attack actions on them, so a falling swing, for example, or a thrust. And then there are a series of defensive maneuvers, so like a high guard. And players play the cards face down and then reveal them at the same time. And you have a look and see on the card itself, it will show you how your particular move does against the other one. So it tries to mimic a real fight a little bit more. So you don't have to worry quite as much about, I roll this dice, now what modifiers am I adding on? What do I need to take off because of you? Am I in the right place? Can this work or not? It's kind of a lot simpler than that. And then the arcane side of things, again, you have a set of cards, and the person who is attacking plays a card and says whatever they want, and they can bluff. So they can say that it's a three green, but actually they're playing a 1 pink card, and the opponent has to decide whether calling their bluff is the right thing to do or not, because if they call the bluff and they're wrong, then the attacking player gets to go again. But if they call the bluff and it's right, then they get to replace that card with anything they want. They have a series of catastrophe cards that they could play, and catastrophes, by the sounds of them, usually do very bad things. So it's a real kind of nice balancing match, and it's very simple. I think someone said yesterday that it doesn't hurt their brain as much as other games do. So yeah, the short answer is yes, definitely I'd give it a go, and join us on the Discord. We sent a link in the chat a little bit earlier on. Every Wednesday evening UK time, there is a demo game on Discord, which is run on Tabletop Simulator. So yeah, by all means, come and join us. And all of the rules and all of the cards and the miniatures as standees are available for free on the Moonstone website. So if you want to give it a go, by all means, go ahead and give it a go just on paper before you commit to buying any of the beautiful resins.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that yesterday, is that you can play the whole game without buying anything by downloading it.
Yeah, which is so unusual. I mean, I've never heard of that before. When we've talked with other people on things like, oh, are you happy for us to share just this card and to share it? I was like, yeah, the whole game is available, so you can just download it and print it, and it works. But part of the joy is these beautiful miniatures and seeing them to come to life. And
right, I mean, even if you're not going to play, these miniatures are really cool, and you can use them in D&D and other things like that.
Absolutely.
Oop, I forgot Klaus's face. I'm going to start with that green and then highlight it.
You can see from the character on Klaus's face, even
Yes.
the gameplay of the skirmish itself is very silly. In places it's very whimsical, as well as obviously it's being about fighting people. But yeah, I mean, he's charging at someone flailing a massive bell around, so the kind of the theatrics of the gameplay, as you describe this particular fight that these two characters are having, can be really overly described. You can go into as much detail as you want as players, and that's part of the fun as well, I think, is that thematic kind of Klaus running across a field towards the Doug the pug.
Oh my gosh, the pug is my favorite. He's so... What is the name of his writer?
I can't remember. I knew you were going to ask me that as you mentioned it. No, I can't remember the rider's name. But yeah, because everyone remembers Doug the pug, who is
Doug the pug.
who is also Doug the flatulent, and one of his his attacks is noxious gases. So
yes.
yeah, there's lots of silliness that you can have with the game, which yeah is just hilarious.
Okay, I'm getting some nice color on his face right now.
Yeah, look at that. It's really coming to life as well. So good.
It's got a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit of this brown in his ears. There we go. Yeah, the guy who did your box art for him really, it almost looks like he painted them with oils. They're so smooth and delicate.
I think he did it on computer design, actually. I think he does a lot of his medium is that he's
Oh, he didn't actually paint the minis? He just painted a picture of the minis?
Yes, so those are illustrations of the miniatures rather than actually the miniatures themselves. So we have Shane, who does the illustrations, and he kind of comes up with the character concept with Tom, and then that's what then gets passed to the sculptors. So then the sculptors interpret the illustrations and bring those drawings to life as the 3D. So then we use the illustrations on the box art.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let me give this a little browner nose. Let's see, he's got some brown hair. I'm going to give him as well. Let's see.
Oh, and no problem, Frick, with my answer. I hope you both enjoy it.
Yeah.
I am going to plug it again. I have to, seeing as we're talking about picking up miniatures. We do have a Kickstarter running at the moment, so if you want to catch up and potentially save a little bit of money, then it's running at the moment. You don't even have to pledge the full amount if you just wanted to pledge $1 or £1 or whatever the currency you're using is, and then come back to it later. You'll get all of the free stuff. You'll get the ability to add on all of the limited edition stuff, and then there are some discounts running through the Kickstarter for getting the starter sets and some of the early things and the catch up. So it might help you out. So by all means, do check it out. I would be remiss not to mention it at that perfect opportunity.
I'm using the transparent brown now on his fur, and you can see because it's already transparent, it goes over that shaded thing, and it's like, boom, you're done. You know?
That's excellent. That's such a good way to approach it.
It's kind of like a reverse contrast paint. Because it goes on, and it's also matte. That's the other nice thing. But yeah, just in the last few years, the amazing things that they've come out with in the industry just with paints has been a major game changer.
Yeah, there's been so much recently. It's so nice to have so much more choice now and ways to just create something so different with these models.
See, when I paint those bells on, they'll really pop now because they've got that dark color underneath. Alright, let me look here. He's got... Just making sure his little... He's burgundy again. That's okay. So another thing, if you want to make sure your minis look good, is use a limited palette. Like, I mean, we've seen the colors that I put on here. I really haven't added much. The only time I did was when I added that little bit of purple. But that was for Raegan. Klaus doesn't really have any extra colors. Let's get he's got fur on his feet.
Little fluffy feet.
So how long have you been involved in gaming, or even just, you know, I don't know, like, because from what I've seen, there's not a ton of women in gaming in the UK. I'd say there's a little bit more in the US, but just because we have the conventions and people take their wives or their girlfriends and then people get into it.
There are definitely fewer women in gaming, from a miniatures perspective anyway, and kind of war game side of things. So we have a big convention called Salute, which runs in London each year, and that's huge. I don't know if there's a bigger one in the UK for miniatures specifically, but that's one that's the most local to me. And there certainly is a lower percentage of women attending and on stalls and things. But I think that's it's growing. I think there are more women getting involved, and looking at different miniatures and whether to play wargaming or whether just to paint miniatures as well. I think that really varies. And we've, as part of our Kickstarter, we've offered some terrain sets, which we're working with Bad Squiddo Games for.
Yes,
and
Annie, she's awesome.
Annie. Yes. So Annie is one of the kind of the big female names, I think. She's done such a good job, at trying to redress that balance of how female miniatures are presented, and offering some really sweet things like all of her guinea pigs and things.
I know.
So yeah, I think it's been quite different. But my route into this was more board gaming and more RPG based, actually, and then that's kind of led to this. That being said, when I was a kid, my uncle would paint some of the kind of cuter miniatures like dragons and little dwarves and things. I don't even know what the range was. I just remember looking at them when I was really young and just thinking, wow, this is really cool. And then I started with a bit of Games Workshop probably just over 10 years ago now, I think. Did a little bit and then kind of drifted away, and then I went into Magic the Gathering, kind of drifted away from that, and then it was D&D and Pathfinder that I really started playing a lot.
Oh, nice.
And then started to do board gaming, and a friend of mine bought Kingdom Death.
Oh, that's my favorite game, yes.
Yeah, and we played that a lot, and that just introduced me to those miniatures, and then I kind of through that started to look at miniatures again, and just dabbled in a few different directions. So Malifaux and Bushido, and a few other.
Yeah, it
really is. Yeah, and as much as I wanted to learn how to play the games, I was also interested in the miniatures, really. And I found Moonstone. It was just after Tom had run one of the very first Kickstarters. And he was by himself. He was on the end of a table right at the back of Salute, in the big Excel Centre. So it was right at the back, on the end of a table, and he'd borrowed, I think, like 2 shelves from the nearby vendor, who said, oh yeah, sure, that's fine, you can have a couple of shelves for your stock. And we walked past and I saw these fairies. I was like, what? There are fairies in some of these miniature games? That's amazing. And we kind of kept, and he was showing a kid and his dad how to play it, and I was like, well, we can't really throw a child off. That's a bit mean. So we'll come back. And we walked around, and we came back, and he was free, and we had this really nice chat with him. Bought some stuff then, and then that's when I started painting
Oh,
the
that's
Moonstone
really
stuff. And it was great to see then the following year. Yeah, and Arla has said that you found out about Moonstone in Salute 2018 and met Tom then. I think it was the same one when they were right at the back. And then the following year, it had grown and they had their own stall and they were doing their own thing. And it was really great to see that kind of expansion, that change. And then again, I think it was the third year they were there. It was just after they'd the Kickstarter for the Lesher Vault faction. So although Raegan, Klaus, and Gwendoline are part of a box set that's only just been released, the Lesher Vault themselves were introduced a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And so when they were there, the stall again was much bigger and it was full of people. And they had a couple of tables set up with new scenery, and it was just amazing. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah, just to see that development. And it was after that's when I got in touch with them to say, oh, hey, if you need a hand. So it's been so
great.
nice to see that expand out as well.
We'll try to get you and him to come to Gen Con sometime.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Even if you weren't able to get a booth or anything, it's very expensive to get a booth, but maybe. So the people who did Judgment, they're from Australia, and I painted for them, and because there is an entrepreneur alley, you can get kind of a cheaper booth that first year, and then sometimes that's worth it. But it is, so the amount of people so obviously we can't do this during COVID, but the amount of people that go to this con would just blow your mind. It's about, how many people is it? About 65,000 was the last one that I went to.
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Just in every kind of gaming that you can think. I really like that little bit on the bell right there. That kind of.
It does look really cool. I've been sneakily watching that in the background. It's incredible.
It is the mecca of our people.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going there every year since they moved to Indianapolis, and I think last year was the first year that I didn't go because of the pandemic. Okay, what color is his brown? Lots of brown, but look at how nice this is coming out. This is his eyes are a little more white, and just gonna add a little bit more here.
Yeah, he's a little bit more wild-eyed than Raegan.
Yeah.
How about you? How have you seen the industry change over the years that you've been involved?
Well, oh my gosh, painting. People have gotten so good so fast because the Europeans have been coming to the United States and teaching people. And I think that really exploded the painting scene quite a lot. So the box art, he looks like you said, wild-eyed. I'm going to give him a more cow-eyed look.
Yeah. So sweet. I think he can, it works.
Yeah, a little bit more sleepy. But cute. Anyway, so it's funny because I've been involved since 2000. I've been directly involved with the industry since 2015. And like I said, there was no male models that were not a Conan or a muscly figure back then. And so I kind of the same, you had to talk with Tom. I had to talk with Adam Poots from Kingdom Death, and was like, this is great. You've got these sexualized females, but where are the men? And he was the first person to kind of say, oh, we're going to have some. And that's what made me want to you know, get into his game.
Yep.
So get a little dot of a little. Yeah, boom, there he's alive now. Always make the dots on this. If you're going to do one on the right side, then do the other one on the right side. If you make the dots opposite, they won't look right. Look at that. Oh, he's a little wild. I need to change that just a smidge. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we talked a bit about diversity yesterday, but
Yeah.
I think it's so important to try and reflect the different people that are out there. And I mean, I'm not saying there is anything wrong with having sexualized female figures or muscly male figures. It's not about necessarily stopping doing what's happening now.
I just get bored. I'm like, I want to see something else. And what I think is the reason why it's happening is that when art is monetized, which is basically what this industry is, then people go with the low risk. You know, when there's no risk, the creativity is infinite, right? I mean, but that's the thing. So we have to give artists the room to make risks and to figure things out.
Absolutely.
And to show that there can be a market for things that we didn't think that there would be, and bring brand new people into an industry that didn't have it before.
Yeah. I mean, if someone said to you, oh, hey, we're going to have a miniature that's a cow running, flailing a bell around, then that may sound pretty strange. But
it does sound surprising.
But in the whimsical world of Moonstone, it works and it's the right thing to do. But it takes that risk just to say, hey, we know that the labyrinth is loved by many, and we're going to take inspiration from that and fairy tale and go with that side of things rather than.
I have to ask you about this bit right here. It looks like he has somebody's thumb on his belt. Is it a thumb or is it a whistle? I bet it's a whistle.
No, I think it might be a thumb.
That's so funny.
There's the vicious midget, who is one of the goblins. He has a hand on the back of his belt. So there's a bit of a thing about collecting
parts,
appendages.
Wow, let's get his yellow for his little. That's so funny. So when I started playing miniature games, I started with War Machine and Hordes.
Oh yes,
and there were some trolls that had like these like chickens and and like a ham.
Oh, it is a whistle. Aha! Hello, Tom.
It is a whistle.
That is Tom.
Oh, good.
Tom is logged in as the same Moonstone account as me. Hello. So yes, it is a whistle. I was wrong. Apologies. It's not appendages.
Yes, good. Okay, I'm gonna paint it so that it looks like a whistle. Good. I'm glad it's not a thumb. but
you can never tell. Yeah, you can never tell with this. It could be either way.
So with this War Machine game that I played, these trolls like had these hams and chickens hanging from their belt, because I guess one of their abilities was they could eat, or feast is what it called, and they could regenerate. And so that was an ability they had, and so they carried food around with them so they could regenerate. And it's just those little details that make it so cute. Use a little bit of this brown on this. There we go.
Tom is happy. Tom is liking the paint job, so the boss is happy. That's good.
Good. Let's show him Raegan. Yeah. There's Raegan. We haven't put any grass or anything on here. And then here is Gwendoline. We did finish her yesterday. Here's her back. I really like the back a lot too.
Mm.
And let's put them together. They look really cute.
Mm.
Yeah.
They're a stunning mix. It looks so good. In Moonstone, there's a mixture of giants and trolls that have all sorts of the things all over them. There's a character called Bristlenose who's a river troll, and he has like bits of junk all over him. So he's got a big wheelbarrow on his shoulder, and one of the giants called Dim and Dimmer, which is a two-headed giant. Actually, he's carrying this big, unfortunately for Klaus, a big cow hide. Just in the middle of him, which I've seen people paint some amazing colours. There's one person who's done it like a strawberry milkshake type type cowhide, so it's white and pink, which is just brilliant.
So I'm going to go with some metallic metals for his armor because I really prefer how it looks as opposed to non-metallic metals. Non-metallic metals looks great photographed, but when you're having something in front of you, just the realism of, here's a dark silver, the realism of having the metallic metal is really nice. Especially we can brush it over some of the coloring we've already done of the bell.
So do you combine both then? So you do non-metallic and interesting. Okay, I don't think I've seen that before.
I call it demi metallic.
I have to ask, do you change your water when you're using the metallics, or do you just...
I should, but I just, I'm just buy brushes all the time.
Yeah.
I should. Again, remember I told you I was lazy?
That's fine. That doesn't make me feel so quite bad when sometimes I'm like, I just can't be bothered to change the water. I will risk the glitter coming on something else at some point. That does look good.
Get some of this, especially on chains. I feel like it looks better when you just have the metallic metal. Right. And I'm going to go back and re-highlight everything with different colors of silver. Oh, we got his shoulder pad as well over here. So I have a funny story to tell you. So I used to watch a lot of like BBC shows. Like my favorites were Being Human and Skins and Misfits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, most of those were filmed in Bristol. And so I was like, I want to go to Bristol. And everybody was in the UK was like, what? That's like going to America and going to Detroit. That's what they said.
Yeah. Bristol is a very lovely place, but Did you manage to spot your the various places where you'd been that you recognised?
But I have never gone. I need to.
You need to. Okay.
Yeah, the only time I've been to the UK was I've been in Heathrow twice on the way to. Yeah, and the first time it was really bad because it was before they remodeled it. And you remember do you remember? It was a mess.
Yeah, I must point out, Tom has just posted a comment saying Bristol is amazing. He did used to live there, so I should give a nod to. Yeah, it is a very lovely little city. I must admit, it is nice.
What's cool about it is it just has so much character, you know.
Yeah. Just down the railway track, not very far at all, is Bath as well. So there's a lot of inspiration between those places and history and beautiful part of the world, I must admit.
Well, all my friends are currently in the Midlands, so Bristol's a little far south for me to go.
Yes.
I probably would go to London for sure, because you have to, right? And
Yep. Come to Salute when that's next running.
yeah.
Oh, the same. Her only experience of Bristol was being stranded at the airport in a snowstorm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's maybe not the best way to see it as a city.
All right.
There are definitely worse places to take inspiration for filming from in the UK, that's for sure. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
Yes, I'm going to grab. I'm just making sure. Oh, he's got all these little bells. I want to get those dark first. He's got a lot of little bells. How do they know he's coming when he's running?
Oh yeah, I mean, with a face like that, he doesn't really care that much. He's pretty confident in what he's doing. He knows that Raegan's got his back as well.
I think the ones that I've looked at, the goblins, are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because they do remind me so much of Brian Froud's work and Labyrinth and Book of the Fairies.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration been taking from that to get that. Oh, you're right there.
Yep.
To get the fairy tale and that that kind of slightly darker fairy tale, I think, which Brian Froud does so well. And that's what's been kind of transplanted. It's Moonstone is whimsical, but it's also got that kind of slightly darker edge to it as well in places. So it's not all fun and games and laughter. There is some serious stuff going on.
You know, like the actual legends, you really don't want to mess with them at all.
And some of the Leshavult, some of the other characters have been taken from, or inspiration taken from the Witcher series as well.
Oh,
so from
that's cool. Polish, Slavic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that part of the world, and taking some of those mythologies. So there is some real mythology and folklore ingrained in these characters as well. It's a really nice blend of all these different things.
Okay, I'm going to get my silvers. Bear with me, because they're never where I need them to be, so I need to look. There's one. And I need a bright silver too. White gold.
Arla has said that Jackalope is her favourite. I'm all about the bunnies.
Yes, the bunnies.
Yeah, the bunnies, yeah.
Death bunnies.
Yeah. Boris the bunny summoner and his death bunnies. And Alex has said Boulder was the first model he fell in love with. Yeah, Boulder is a beautiful miniature as well. He really has that kind of characterful face and quite relaxed kind of expression and stance, and just with his rocks and just hanging out, and yeah, he's lovely.
See how that already looks nice and real. Metallic metals are always going to be slightly easier, but if you like, how do I say this? Learning to paint non-metallic metals will help you learn how to make your metallic metals better. But it's not necessary to paint non-metallic metals if you're already comfortable with. It's just kind of one more thing to put in your toolkit. It's just a tool. Look at that. See? Boom.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I don't know if we're gonna. What time are we on?
3:55.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just kind of very carefully brush these little bells so that I don't get there's like a little hole, there's holes in them, and you make it look more realistic. There we go. Ooh.
It's really lovely.
All right, and I'm going to make that handle brown. I'm going to use this brown and this. And I will have to go back over that after it dries to highlight it. The detailing that I'm going to do once stream is over is what really makes it look good in a photograph, but it's something that it will be really boring to watch me do.
Is it you'll do then? What is that?
So I'm going to go in and dark line stuff and kind of put little drop shadows on things, kind of like what I'm doing a little bit now. And it'll really, and then, you know, smooth things out. There's a lot of ticky little things I need to do to smooth things. There we go. He's so cute. Oh, his little flower. We got to do his little purple flower. And
yes, yeah.
I'm going to use this color.
He is very sweet. I think Raegan and Klaus are among my favourites, I think, for miniatures and for their little bios as well.
Their story, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get his little horns. Well, I'm definitely glad that you contacted me. This has been a lot of fun, and I have learned a lot about Moonstone. I didn't know really much about it previously. So that means that if all the people who watch me who didn't know about it are probably going to learn about it too.
Yeah. It's so much fun, and it's so great to see the community growing. So the last few Kickstarters have been amazing, and this one is well, the last time I looked a little bit earlier, we're just over 50,000, so well and truly funded and into lots of stretch goals. In fact, we've just in the last 24 hours announced a stretch goal, which is a larger format of one of the other fawns, a character called Jada. So she's a 75mm miniature.
Nice.
So she's I'm really hoping that one gets funded, because I want to paint her. So at that size it'd look amazing. But yeah, and just having more people join and have new players learning all about the game and getting involved, and hopefully we can slowly spread the love and spread the joy of Moonstone and get more people involved.
See, these are the little tiny, each little band on his rope belt gets a little bit of a highlight. And on the front of his bell here.
That makes such a big difference, doesn't it? Just those small touches.
Now I may need to, I might need to repaint that bell a little bit, because it's just kind of behind him. If you're watching this and you haven't put together Klaus, he might be one you want to sub-assemble and paint. Paint the bell and everything, and then put his arm on, because otherwise it might be tricky.
Okay.
That's what I would advise people. Let's do a little bit lighter. It's like a little braided handle here. That's pretty cool. It's amazing, the detail.
Yes. The detail is so lovely, you can just get lost in it in a way. Just finding new things. a character called Old Paulders, who is an older soldier, so is a human, and he is kind of semi-retired, but he's also working more as a mercenary now. For one of the aristocrats of the land. And his miniature, he has like a garland of onions, and he's carrying a little like folded up handkerchief on a stick over his shoulder, which has a little chicken head sticking out of it, and it's
So funny.
just the little details in it. His expression is just perfect. It's so much fun.
Yes. So you'll see how much he pops with this black on the base here. See that? Now that really frames it, and once we get the grass on everything, he'll really look really nice. They really feel alive, don't they? Cute. All right, so let me have you go ahead and plug any last stuff that you want to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I will just go and grab our link again. So I will pop the link into the chat.
Yeah.
So this is our current Kickstarter. It only is running until 5 p.m. on Tuesday UK time, that is.
Go ahead and send it to me and I'll pop it in chat for you, because I'm not sure that yours are going through. There's the Discord link for sure.
Okay, let's pop that through to you now. There you go. And we have all three of the miniatures you see today are available on the website, so please do go ahead and check out what we've got on there. And we've got all of the other tools are on the site as well, so if you want to download the rules, if you want to download the cards and do everything, you can practice and test it all out for free if you don't want to commit to the miniatures yet, but you will get lots of nice fancy new stuff and exclusive things if you back the Kickstarter. So it'd be great to see more new people involved.
There's the Kickstarter link you can click on and open up a window for that.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you so much. Those look absolutely stunning, and they're very, very inspiring, I think, as well. So hopefully everyone who watches this will see something amazing off the back of this, and hopefully come and give Moonstone a go and just see if you can try and replicate this, because they just look awesome when they're done. But yeah,
look at that. All three together. That's really nice. That's my thumbnail right there. Yeah. All right. Well, brilliant. I'm going to go ahead and close out. And everybody, if you want to watch me stream again, your best bet is to follow my Patreon. The lowest tier amount is $5, but you will get access to live streams, because currently we're doing live streams for everybody, because we don't have a ton of patrons, so we don't have the levels as tight. But you'll be helping me create a line of miniatures of my own, and you'll be helping me support my streams. So, all right, everybody, go check out moonstonethegame.com or their Kickstarter, which is in the chat, and we will see you again another time.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Let's do my ending. Here we go.